One Zambia, One Nation, good evening and welcome to the 19 hours main news on ZNBC. A look at stories making headlines tonight. The World Bank reaffirms its support towards various projects being undertaken in Zambia. Minister of Transport Brian Mushimba says Zambia Railways projects to collect over 23 million United States dollars by the end of 2018. The Patriotic Front adopts Godwin Putu as its candidate for the November 20th Mangango parliamentary by-election. And the Chipolo Polo boys tomorrow take on Guinea-Bissau in the 2019 Cameroon Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. I'm Paxina Hankang and our sign language caster is Lavnis Chupa. For details, the World Bank has reaffirmed its support towards various projects being undertaken in the country, and the World Bank has urged the Zambian government to strengthen its efforts in project monitoring. World Bank Group Country Director Paul Naumba disclosed this during a bilateral engagement with the Minister of National Development Planning, Alexander Chiteme. The bilateral meeting took place at the annual meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund in Bali, Indonesia. Mr. Nomba also expressed concern about projects with poor implementation status. The country director further stated that the bank has approved a 2-year extension to the Irrigation Development Support Program, whose objective is to increase agricultural production through irrigation. And Mr. Chiteme reaffirmed government's commitment to stronger project implementation mechanism, which will be attained through creation of a public investment board, which will be required to approve all public investment projects before their implementation. This is according to a statement released to ZNBC News by National Development Planning Public Relations Unit. Now, the British Tobacco BAT Zambia PLC has constructed a cigarette manufacturing factory at a cost of 25 million United States dollars aimed at localizing its brand portfolio in Zambia. The plant, which is situated at the Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone, has so far created 72 direct jobs for the local people and a further 2,500 jobs in formal and informal sectors, hence contributing to the country's economy. Zanis has details in the following report.
The British Tobacco BAT Zambia company has constructed a cigarette manufacturing factory at a cost of 25 million US dollars aimed at localizing its brand portfolio in Zambia. The plant, which is situated at Lusaka South Multi-Facility Economic Zone, has so far created 72 direct jobs for local people and a further 2,500 jobs in formal and informal sectors, hence contributing to the country's economy. BAT Zambia Managing Director pledged his company's commitment towards contributing to the country's economic development.
So this is another celebration that we have. The third celebration that we have is that the sector, the tobacco sector itself, is coming in and developing. There's been a clear emphasis on the second national development plan.
Company Operations Manager says in order to improve its production and adhere to the country's environmental regulations, the company has invested in skills development and state-of-the-art machinery.
We sent staff for training between June and August 2017. Right? The machinery all came in between August and October. We want to thank the authorities because we're allowed to bring in our machinery duty-free as the legislation allows, which was very, very brilliant. And then by October we installed the machinery, and then in November we had our first product made on our factory by our own staff.
The construction of this factory is indeed evidence of government's resolution of creating an enabling environment for investors to invest in the country's economy. Michero Lubinda for Zanis News in Lusaka.
Minister of Transport Brian Mushimba says Zambia Railways projects to collect over 23 million United States dollars by the end of 2018. Mr. Mushimba says this is through the movement of 30% of heavy goods through rail after SI number 7 of 2018 was put in place. He has told ZNBC News in an interview that the SI is working well and has brought sanity back on the Zambian roads.
We have a compliance team that is formed under my ministry, where the Government Inspector of Railway resides, and the team comprises of officers from Zambia Railways, officers from Tazara, officers from Zambia Revenue Authority, Weights and Measures, and many other government agencies. And they've been going around to make sure that wherever heavy and bulk cargo is coming from, needs to be transported, there's that compliance. So there's complying, but you need to be aware that it's only 30% that the SI asked for. So if I am a manufacturer of let's say I mine copper and I have to transport that, only 30% of what I mine, my total volumes, is what the SI speaks to.
A commercial grain farmer in Mukushi has lamented high agro production costs against stagnation of prices as affecting cash flow for most farmers. Joseph Daka of the Master Farm says wheat prices have remained the same in the past few years despite increased costs in production. Here's a report.
Tons of wheat is loaded straight from the field on Damast Farm in the Mukushi farm block of Central Province. The 1,300-hectare farm is a success story of 48-year-old Joseph Daka, a farmer focusing on wheat, soybeans and maize seed.
The only thing is perseverance, because there are downfalls. And you cannot just say quit when you are hit by maybe there are times when maybe you lose a field by fire or whatever. You can't just get frustrated and give up. You just have to stand like a boxer and fight back again.
Mr. Daka has grown his investment to around $12 million over the past 12 years. However, farming has not been without challenges, with high interest rates, increased cost of production and depreciation of the kwacha, among others.
Last year I was selling my wheat for $385, and again this year I'm selling for $385. And yet fuel price went up, fertilizer price went up. Now, like this year again, fuel has gone up, and the fertilizer price has gone up because of the dollar. So millers again will hit back next season, try and get our wheat for the same price.
In a bid to avoid cutting down of trees for firewood to dry maize seed, Mr. Daka has turned to using maize cobs to produce charcoal briquettes.
Once you crush it, then it makes briquettes. Then from there we put them in a carbonizing equipment, which will carbonize so that there is no smoke when you are. And then from there we'll produce wood vinegar and a few other byproducts.
He is one of the farmers who has opened up to participants of the 2018 Central Province Investment Forum and Expo, sharing his experiences. Damas is a family business employing over 700 people, with his wife managing finances, and son Chikumbuso, a graduate of agriculture, also offering his skills. Brian Moale, ZNBC News, Mukushi.
Well, ZESCO Limited says it has the capacity to meet the electricity demand of investors in Central Province. ZESCO National Spokesperson Henry Kapata says the company is currently working on various projects in the province and will complete them on time. Mr. Kapata says 134.2 million United States dollar Kawe Pensulo 330 kV transmission line is one of the projects that will not only contribute to increased power supply to Central Province, but Wapula, Northern and Northern provinces.
We have to move in line with the demand for electricity in the province, that is Central Province. Then all these projects that we have lined up must be in completion in time. That's what it means. And as such, the Kabwe Pensulo 330 kV transmission line, line number 2 project, which involves the construction of approximately 300 kilometer stretch of the 350 kV twine bison single circuit transmission line, is on course as it stands now. And so from Kawe, step down a substation. We are equally building one to Pensulo substation in Serenje. Now the project is a reinforcement of the upstream section of the 330 kV network of Central Province.
Government has offered to provide incentives to local and foreign investors who want to put up hotels and lodges in Northern Province. Northern Province Minister Brian Munduwile says that the move is aimed at reducing the accommodation shortage in the province, especially in areas that have tourist attractions. He has told ZNBC News in an interview that Zambians should not leave this opportunity to foreign companies alone, but come on board and participate.
And of course, as a province, we want to do more to attract investment. Besides the incentives that are provided for under the ZEA Act, we are giving incentives in that you are able to get prime land. We are taking you to areas where these are tourism sites, and are able to attract tourists naturally. So it's an extra incentive besides the ones that are provided for in the ZEA Act. We are busy working on the terminal at Mbala. As you know, Mbala Airport is no longer a military airport. Well, it's partly a military airport, and it's also been commercialized. We landed the first commercial flight on the 6th of October by my Organi Air. As I'm talking to you now, contractors are on the ground working on remodeling the terminal as part of the preparations. We are also introducing a road into the airport, avoiding the one that goes to the military camp.
Now, the shores of Lake Mweru in Chilenge district are usually a hive of activity, starting as early as 05 hours, as women gather to buy fish for resale. Here's a report.
It is slightly after 6 in the morning, and the shores of Lake Mweru are already swamped with women carrying buckets. These are fish traders.
4.05.
And one by one, the boats arrive. The women quickly rush to the boats before they even dock. What follows is this: a scramble for the fish. Those that are quick come out smiling, while others stand by and wait for the next boat. Fish is the main business in Inchelenge. These women buy on wholesale from the fishermen and later go around the district or the market to resell the fish at a small profit.
Profit tuendera pamupiri umonga tunastesa bila 25 kwisa era 20 kwacha kwisa runda pa 5 kwacha kwisa chichakuno 25.
Mweru is a vast lake shared by Zambia and the DRC. The Luapula River flows in from the south, while the Kalungwishi River flows in from the east. The two rivers form deltas that serve as fish breeding grounds. Shansa Mayani, ZNBC News in Inchelenge.
Well, after that report, we take our very first commercial break. Do stay tuned for more news after that. Well, thank you for still staying with us, and now for the rest of the news. A former Foreign Affairs Deputy Minister Gabriel Namulambe says there is nothing sinister about Zambia's relationship and economic ties with China. Mr. Namulambe says it is unfair to demonize current bilateral agreements between Zambia and China because the relationship dates back to the post-independence era. Mr. Namulambe is also former Mpongwe Member of Parliament, says all past presidents of Zambia have had bilateral agreements with the Chinese government.
I remember vividly that it was during the China-Africa Forum that we were granted the Ndola Stadium, yes, which is the Lev Manawasa Stadium. So basically, criticizing the relationship between Zambia and China is very unfair, yes, owing to the fact that there are several other international agreements that we have signed before between ourselves and China. Now, if there are certain areas of concern, maybe with the individual Chinese operating in Zambia, there are adequate labor laws in Zambia.
Patriotic Front Secretary General Davis Mwila has warned of disciplinary action against Bahati MP Harry Kalaba and Roan MP Chishimba Kambwili if both fail to respond to their summons from the party within 7 days. Mr. Mwila says the PF National Disciplinary Committee will decide the fate of the two MPs if they do not respond within the stipulated time. Now, the PF Secretary General said this at a press briefing held at the PF Secretariat in Lusaka today. Meanwhile, the Patriotic Front has adopted Goodwin Putu as its candidate for the November 20th Mangango parliamentary by-election. Mr. Mwila says the party decided to settle for Mr. Putu after a Central Committee meeting which was chaired by President Edgar Lungu at State House. He says the party has also adopted Clement Kaputula as its candidate for Lupososhi Council chairperson by election. Mr. Mwila says the party is confident that the two candidates will scoop the seats. He has further urged the party members to remain loyal to party and support the candidates.
I wish to announce that the Central Committee has made the following adoptions for Mangango and Lupososhi respectively. Mangango constituency, we have adopted Edwin Putu. The campaign manager will be MCC Paul Monga here. He will be assisted by Captain Walusiku Liambela and Honorable Austin Diato. Those are the three people who manage the campaign in Mangango. In Lupososhi district, we've adopted Kaputula Kwandangala Clement. And the campaign manager for this district is Honorable Brian Mundubire, Provincial Minister for Northern and the chairman in charge of legal in our party.
Meanwhile, UPND Secretary General Stephen Katuka says the party has received 11 applications and it has since reduced the number to 3. Mr. Katuka has told ZNBC News that Mangango is a UPND seat and that the party is confident of retaining it. And United Prosperous Peaceful Zambia, UPPZ spokesperson Francis Kope, says the party has a candidate but will only unveil that candidate a day before or on nomination day. Meanwhile, efforts to get a People's Alliance for Change PAC President Andy Ford Banda failed as his mobile phone was off. The Mangango seat fell vacant in August after the death of UPND Mangango Member of Parliament Naluwa Mwene in a road traffic accident. Now, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has set 20th November 2018 as the day for the by-election. Now, a new political party, People's Convention Independence Party, PCIP, has been launched in Lusaka. The party will be headed by Charles Sinkala. And speaking during the launch today, Dr. Sinkala said the mandate of the new political party is to transform Zambia's politics by engaging the government of the day on various issues that affect the country. Meanwhile, PCIP Secretary General Chama Chileshe says the new party is ready to contest the 2021 general elections. And Persons with Disabilities Chairperson Ian Banda says his organization is ready to work with People's Convention Independence Party, PCIP, for uplifting the livelihood for the people with disabilities.
And 23 years of living a dream of building a better Zambia, my country of inheritance. I enjoyed working in the background and as one of the youngest to sit on a coalition government, negotiations representing National Citizen Coalition by then. Present there was leaders of various political parties, like the late Anderson Mazoka, the legendary founder of the UPND party. Dini Mungomba, B.Y. Mwila, General Christon Tembo, Brigadier General Godfrey Mianda, and many others. At the age, that time I was only 24 years. That was the only last time I heard of the opposition parties having a productive meeting of national importance.
It is to reclaim back our political position of being a voter which we have lost over time. This is our core and mandatory task for every Zambian to vote in and vote out the non-performing government agents that we entrusted in working for Mother Zambia.
PCIP has taken a bold move to recognize the rights of persons with disabilities to participate in public and political life in line with the provision of the Persons with Disability Act of number 6 of 2012, Division 6 on political and public life. We wish to applaud you for the realization of the rights of persons with disabilities in the participation of political, governance, leadership position in running an inclusive program.
Paramount Chief Pezeni of the Ngoni people of Eastern Province has praised government for the early distribution of inputs to farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISP. The traditional leader has also observed that a direct input supply system will reduce the cost of collecting inputs, as government will deliver the inputs to nearby places as opposed to driving long distances to access the inputs. He was speaking when Neria's Investments General Manager Martin Chai-Katisha and Eastern Province Agriculture Coordinator Alex Chilala paid a courtesy call on him yesterday. Now, earlier, Mr. Chilala said government will this year use both the e-voucher and the direct input supply system. And Mr. Chai-Katisha says his company is ready to deliver all the inputs that it was contracted to deliver on time.
So manje company yatu ya Neria ndiye amepasa to distribute. So ndiye kuti fertilizer yonse inabwera kudala. Then mairo yesterday tinamba kupasa bali mewa first banamba kutenga
bali baenda chabe ku baita deposit baenda ku depo batenga fertilizer, but naija ama card na everiko but kusinta kwake this year farmer sayembegeza kuti boma ikendalama pakuti atenge fertilizer. So farmer gachita chabe deposit 400 akaenda kula agrodira kuja aenda atenga fertilizer yonse.
Farmers valira maningi na manje kwa maonana kulisira milisi sibala fanya kubaganiza nako fanya kubaganiza farmers. So ndama tose tutama tuenda chibe kuongole na igaire poko khaiseni okongola kongole kuja bose kufanya utiganize hapa aboma watiganizira waganiza na muntu mhalo yakuti achoke pano aende nakuti akaisite ponse tyani ambiri so fertilizer so kalutengana na manje kalikutenga fertilizer yamunera yatumachire yamakadi.
We break for our second set of commercials. Don't go away. On our safety segment tonight, the labour movement in the mining sector is saddened by the rise in the number of mine accidents. Join me for more after this. Well, the labour movement in the mining sector is saddened by the rise in the number of mine accidents involving mostly subcontractors. Both the Mine Workers Union of Zambia, MUZ, and the National Union of Miners and Allied Workers, NUMAO, are worried that 2 mine accidents have been recorded this month. MUZ President Joseph Chewe says the death of 1 miner at Kalumbila Mine and another at Column Coal Mine Industries Limited raises serious concern about adherence to safety standards in the sector.
It's very, very regrettable that the mines have opted to use contractors in their operations. One of the reasons is to reduce the cost of labor. However, with this trend in the mining and being a practice across the industry, we have noticed that the safety of contractors is not there. Why are we saying that it's not there? most of the fatalities are accidents that we have recorded in the past few months. It involves the contractors.
And this is very worrisome. For us, the life of a contractor and that of a miner who is directly linked with the mines is the same. We would want to do everything possible to see what we can do to help. We are advising the mine owners to implement in the similar way they have done with their own mines on the issues of safety.
Well, that's all we had for you on Safety News. Do join us for more next week. We continue with the rest of the news. Now, prominent Kitwe businessman Daniel Makina has applied for a preliminary inquiry in a matter where he has been jointly charged with a Chililabombwe-based taxi driver for stealing copper cathodes worth 1.8 million kwacha. 35-year-old Makina is jointly charged with 32-year-old Chipili Chilufya for allegedly diverting copper cathodes, the property of Politra Zambia Limited. We have more in the following report.
He has finally appeared in court after being held in custody for a month. But this was not without drama. A ZNBC cameraman, Kashete Sinyangwe, was physically harassed by supporters of prominent Kitwe businessman Daniel Makina, who is in court for allegedly stealing copper cathodes worth 1.8 million kwacha, which belongs to Politra Zambia Limited. This was after Sinyangwe was seen filming Mr. Makina being led from the courtroom to the holding cell.
Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera. Don't touch the camera. But why are you threatening us?
Mr. Makina, who is 35 years old, is jointly charged with a 2-year-old Chipiri Chirufya, a taxi driver of Chililabombwe. The two are accused of having used pistols to attack a truck driver, Rajab Bashid Magwira, on 28 August in Kitwe. The duo has since been charged with aggravated robbery, a non-bailable offense which is triable in the High Court. Mr. Chirufya is not represented by any lawyer, but Mr. Makina is represented by lawyers from Mukumbi and Company, Nirongo and Company, and Leonard Lane and Partners. When the matter came up for mention and explanation of the charge before Magistrate Kampinda Chipamu, Mr. Makina's lawyers applied for a preliminary inquiry. But Magistrate Chipamu has reserved ruling to Monday next week. The magistrate says she has taken note of the concerns raised by both parties and will consider them in her ruling. After the case was adjourned, supporters of Mr. Makina then descended on the ZNBC camera person Kashete Sinyangwe, who had earlier filmed the suspects as they were led back to the holding cell.
But stop threatening us. No, stop doing that. Stop threatening us. We are here to work.
The supporters insulted and physically harassed Mr. Sinyangwe. They almost grabbed the camera from him in a bid to delete all the footage he had taken. One of the visibly annoyed women threatened that if pictures of Mr. Makina air on TV, they will sort out Mr. Sinyangwe because Mr. Makina is not a small person in society. Paul Sharara, ZNBC News in Kitwe.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that report. And in sports news this evening, ZNBC will not televise the 2019 Cameroon Africa Cup of Nations fixture between Guinea-Bissau and Zambia. ZNBC Corporate Affairs Manager Yvette Chanda says this is because the national broadcaster does not have the rights to televise the Chipolo Polos away games. She said this in a statement released to ZNBC News in Lusaka today. The match, which will be played tomorrow Sunday in Guinea-Bissau, is Zambia's fourth fixture in Group K. Meanwhile, Namibia has beaten Mozambique by 2-1 in their third match of Group K played today in Mozambique. This means that Namibia, Mozambique, Zambia and Guinea-Bissau are all tied on 4 points. However, Group K's standing may change tomorrow depending on the outcome of Guinea-Bissau versus Zambia match. In golf, Team Forensic emerged champions of this year's KPMG Corporate Golf Day Tournament, played on a 4-ball Stableford basis at Bonanza Golf Course in Lusaka. The event, which attracted a field of 152 golfers, among them 4 professionals, saw Team Forensic amass 132 points overall. Team Forensic, comprising Rudolph Mugabe, Lona Mwenda, Max Kabanda, and Michael Kloek, excelled in all team events. And veteran golfer Hilda Edwards walked away with the longest drive award in women, and Charles Gerald in the men, while Alan Urenda got the nearest to the pin award. And speaking during the prize presentation ceremony, KPMG senior partner and CEO Jason Kazilimani says the event was designed to interact with other corporate executives. Kazilimani said the competition has entered its 6th edition and was graced by Sports Minister Moses Mawere and Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Milanji. And finally, in sports, Zambia Air Force Commander Lieutenant General David Moma has called for support and promotion of all sports disciplines. Lieutenant General Moma says sports play an important role in enhancing physical and mental health. He was speaking today during the launch of the Air Force Commander's netball team held at the Olympic Youth Development Center, or YDC, in Lusaka. The Air Force Commander's netball team attracted 28 teams who participated in 4 categories, namely the premium Madalas, men's and individuals ZAF teams categories.
Coming forward to this special occasion, which underscores the steps my command is undertaking in recognizing and appreciating other sporting disciplines, such as netball, apart from just football or rugby. I want to commend everyone present here, especially those that have traveled from outside Lusaka to be part of this remarkable occasion.
Well, as we end the news tonight, a quick recap of stories making headlines. The World Bank reaffirms its support towards various projects being undertaken in Zambia. Minister of Transport Brian Mushimba says Zambia Railways projects to collect over 23 million United States dollars by the end of 2018. The Patriotic Front adopts Goodwin Putu as its candidate for the November 20th Mangango parliamentary by-election. And in sports, the Chipolo Polo boys tomorrow take on Guinea-Bissau in the 2019 Cameroon Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Well, that's it for the news. Thank you so much for watching. Good evening.